Hey guys, what's going on? This is Panzer Dragon, and today we'll be doing a big video on the top 5 junglers for patch 6.11. And the last time we did this was in patch 6.9, but there have been a lot of changes to some meta junglers, and also a few new junglers have appeared in solo queue that seem pretty popular right now. And in this patch, you might think some junglers are bad right now due to some recent nerfs, but it turns out they are still good junglers. It's really weird to me, I know. But yeah, I guess you guys are probably wondering what these junglers are, and with all that being said, let's get started. Alright, so coming up at number 5 is going to be Gragas. So this champion is still good, it's just in my last tier list I kinda forgot to mention him due to the mid-season patch and I didn't really see too much of him, but nothing really changed him, so why wouldn't he be still a good jungler? And you're probably wondering right now, why is he good? So you know, when I make these tier lists, something I emphasize a lot is early game pressure. This man gives a lot of CC, a lot of damage in an early game, and just really good ganks overall while having pretty good jungle clears. And also when it comes to the mid game and late game, unlike Lee Sin and a lot of early game junglers, he becomes a tanky fatty. That's usually nice since a team would like a tank to have a front line. Now one thing I find really funny is people are still building Runic Echoes into Sunfire on him, but I mean he does have really good AP ratios. It's just a surprise to see that, you know, since Cinderhawk got buffed, he wouldn't be using it, but yeah, people do prefer the Runic Echoes over the Cinderhawk on him still. One thing I'll say is that the reason I don't really play him too much is because he's very skill shot reliant and you gotta know how to do his combos. And let's just say I'm not really too good with his skill shots, to be honest, especially his ultimate. So yeah, I mean, I know a lot of other players like playing him. He's not really my type, but you know, I've seen other players do good with him and bring much success to solo queue. Anyways, here's my recommended build for him. He does have some nice base attack speed, so emphasize a little bit on the attack speed. Alrighty, so enough about Gragas. Let's talk about someone whose name is Graves. So this champion, he's a very fun champion, and he's kind of weird too because there's two builds I see people doing. There's the armor pen build, and then there's the PDDD build, which is short for Phantom Dancer plus Death Stance, or if you want to be a little creative, you can call it the dance build. But yeah, Graves is a champion who has one of the best clears in the early game. I mean, he barely takes any damage because of the knockback coming from his auto attacks, and his ganks, you have a gap closer plus a little slow coming from your W, and a lot of burst damage. And all of this can lead up to really good early game pressure. He is also basically a melee champion in a ranged champion form because of how much damage he can do, how tanky he is, and how much sustained damage he gives. He also becomes a beast in the mid game and late game, and he's also really good against bruisers, since he can beat them up and also kite them. One thing he sucks at though is people who have long range. He can definitely be susceptible to people like Caitlyn who can kite him and probably never reach those champions, but otherwise, he's still a pretty good champion. He also contributes to the wombo combo factor. I mean, he's got his Q and R, and that does a lot of AoE damage, so he'll be doing a shit ton of burst damage. Now myself, I don't really play him too much. I play a lot of other junglers. Like, I played him when he was really OP, but now I only play him personally if we need some AD in the team. Otherwise, I just play other junglers, you know, magic damage dealing junglers, those are my favorite. But if the team calls for it, like say we have an Echo top and Lissandra mid, and they're both AP, then we definitely need some AD on the team. Also, I'm just not too comfortable with him anymore. I guess I haven't played him in such a long time that I'm a little rusty on him and not too comfortable. But I know a lot of other players like still playing him. Anyways, here's the build for him. No more Swifties because it got nerfed. Yeah, I don't really think it's good anymore. Don't get it. Alright, next up we're going to be talking about someone who wasn't in my last tier list, but, you know, was kind of falling out of flavor and I didn't really see her too much, but now I'm seeing her more often, and her name is going to be Elise. So again, early game pressure, you know, something I emphasize a lot, and that's what she brings. And honestly, you guys are probably wondering, what is early game pressure? Early game pressure is basically the ability to skirmish really well, the ability to have good ganking power, and to just cause some lanes to be a little bit more defensive, otherwise get caught out and maybe killed, and just constantly making the enemy lanes feared by your presence. And that's basically what early game pressure is. Champions like Master Yi, they can't do that. Or a champion like Warwick, I mean, do you really fear a gank from a Warwick that's pre-6 or Master Yi? Not really. so you can do whatever the fuck you want in lane. Elise is also really good for making picks or catches, because that cocoon on a 1.6 second stun duration is probably good enough to nuke somebody down, unless he's a tank, but it's still really good if you land it, especially on a squishy. Plus, she actually does tons of damage with her spiderlings and her abilities. Like, once you get runic echoes and a Riley's crystal scepter and you land your ability combo on a squishy, they're probably gonna die. And also she does have, a lot of movement speed with her spider form, so that is nice synergy with the runic echoes. Anyways, here's my recommended build for her. Yes, that's right, you go Guardian Angel, because that shit looks a little OP on her. I mean, you can save your life with your repel, and now a Guardian Angel, so why not? Alright, so next up, coming at number 2 is going to be Rek'Sai. So this champion is very popular right now due to the Cinderhawk buffs, and I mean, she was being played before, but now she has an excuse to be played even more. Even though my last tiers I said she was like number 5 and was actually behind Graves, I actually see now why she's better. It's because 1, she brings a lot of early game pressure, 2, she does a lot of damage, especially if she gets Titanic Hydra. But even if she doesn't, she becomes a really good tank. And 3, she exerts early game pressure like every jungler in this video. And when she has those tunnels around her jungle and maybe into the enemy lanes or whatever, her mobility increases like crazy, especially if you have a really good jungle path with the tunnels. And myself, I'm actually starting to play her because she definitely seems like a really good jungler right now. And although I haven't really played her in like the past 4 months, to be honest, like at least in ranked, I'm starting to play her again because I feel like she's a big OP right now. So, for me, it's time to relearn her, relearn how to carry with her, and start being a good jungler again instead of being stuck with support like every game. Actually, to be honest, I'm probably a support main right now. Honestly, it does suck ass, but I'm comfortable playing Zyra. But anyways, onto the build for Rek'Sai. It kind of looks like this. Remember, no more Swifties, go for a Ninja Tabi or Merc Treads. And if you don't want to do Titanic Hydra, you can always go for a Black Cleaver. Also, if you aren't ahead, you should go tanky. Alright, so enough about Rek'Sai. We're going to the number 1 jungler. And no, it's not going to be Kazakhs because he was in a thumbnail. It's going to be Kindred. That's a big shocker, isn't it? I mean, I'm actually surprised to say that she's number 1. Still, even after those nerfs. Like, in my opinion, it's a little bit harder for her to get her passive stacks, and obviously the changes to her Q was a big nerf, and E's base damage went down along with the slow, but apparently this bitch don't give a fuck and is still going to be a permaban in champion select. So it's very weird for me to see her still being the number 1 jungler after those nerfs, and the only reason I can see why she is still good is because apparently most of her damage actually came from her auto attacks, aka Blood Razor and her passive. And yeah, when Kindred is like permaban every champion select I've been in, except maybe 1 game, it's definitely a definition of, hey, maybe that champion is still OP. Like when I was playing Trundle and I got ganked by her, I was like, hey, Kindred still does a lot of damage. These nerfs didn't really do too much. Well, they kind of did, but I didn't really feel it. But yeah, she's an 80 carry jungler who basically enables a team to have no tanks needed because of her ultimate, and also she don't need no man because she's a powerful woman and can stand up for herself. Oh wait, I mean they. Anyways, here's their build. I think rushing Runon's Hurricane is better than Ghostblade unless you want to have a lot of burst damage, but yeah. I also get Black Cleaver because it has synergy with Runon's Hurricane, AoE physical damage ticks plus her Q and her W, although I don't really care too much about the cooldown reduction, but I mean, League of Black Cleavers, because Black Cleaver is an OP item right now. Anyways, onto the honorable mentions, and first up is going to be Kazakhs. So Kazakhs is a champion who has been appearing a lot more frequently in my solo queue games because of maybe the buff they gave him a while ago in patch 6.6 where they reduced the cooldown of his Q by 0.5 and his W by 1. Apparently those buffs actually make him a really good champion now. I mean, he has great pick potential, like he's an assassin who has a lot of gap closers, aka his E and his R, and also has a reset on his E, and just loves isolated targets as his Q will do a bunch of damage. And also he is strong versus a team of a bunch of squishies, as he can definitely pick them apart easily and get those resets. Now, one thing I don't really understand too much is that he is good in the mid game and late game. Usually assassins kind of fall off later in the game, but he is one of those champions who do not. Same with Rengar, but I guess it's because if they nuke someone in a team fight, that's a 4v5 already, and then obviously he has a reset so he can just hop and kill other people. Anyways, here's a recommended build for him. Finish the Ravenous Hydra after some of your core items, but don't rush it. Also, I copied this build by Diamond 1 Kazakhs. The next honorable mention I'm going to be talking about is going to be Nidalee. So she did get nerfed, I'd say a pretty heavy hit on her W, where the cooldown is now 3.5 seconds at level 1 instead of having it at 1.5 when you get that reset off hunted target. And it definitely hurts her early game clears just a little bit, but it doesn't really hurt her like ganks or any of that. And now she's not a permaban in champion select, but I feel like for the really good Nidalee players, they're still going to be really comfortable with her. And I mean, the nerf actually did hurt her performance just a little bit, but I think she's not as threatening as before. I mean, I've seen her in ranked still, and yeah, she seems a little bit annoying, but not permaban annoying. Here is her item build. Alright, so next up is going to be Fiddlesticks. You know, I feel like this champion may be better than Elise, and I actually feel more comfortable on him than her, but apparently a nerf came to him in patch 6.10 where they reduced the bounces of his E by like 1, and apparently his win rate went down by like 2% or 3% on a lot of statistical champion sites, and a lot of other junglers have actually stopped using him since patch 6.9, but you know, in my opinion, it is a very small nerf. And technically speaking, he still should be a really good champion. And I was actually going to put him in the top 5, but honestly, I'm probably the only one who plays Fiddlesticks right now in high elo. Here is the build for him. Alright, so now we're going to be doing a segment where I talk about questions that you guys asked in my patch 6.9 jungle tier list video. And first up, Sandu Allen asked, what about Black Cleaver on Kindred? And then a sentence I don't really understand, but you know, I think it'd be good, that's why I put it in the build in this video. Other people might think Ma or other things are good, but in my opinion, you know, you can go Black Cleaver. Next up, Kiru Akami asks, how good is Diana jungle? She's kind of awful, unless you're in lower elo, then she's kind of fine. And then next up, Gaming with Wolverine asks, how about Lee Sin? Lee Sin is a champion which you should play if you're good at him, and if you're not, don't play him. And also, I don't really like him too much in, well, higher elo, because I feel like there are better champions, but I mean, there are really good Lee Sin players out there, and you should definitely play him if you know how to carry your team in the early game. But yeah, niche pick. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want a question to be featured in a future video, all you guys have to do is comment below on whatever jungle you want me to talk about, and maybe you'll be in a future tier list. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did like this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you didn't, make sure to drink some bleach. Anyways, I am Panzer Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.